G'day trumpet players of the world, and welcome to today's tutorial. We're going to be talking about how to oil a trumpet. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to effectively oil your valves in the trumpet, all the way from everyday use through to cleaning and maintenance, and what to do if your valves get stuck or they feel gunky. Okay, so the first level, what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. You're going to need your trumpet. Today I'm using a Schagel Roman Empire B flat. That's my main horn or axe of use. We're going to need valve oil. I use Hetman Light Piston Lubricant 1. This works on high tolerance instruments such as Schagels or brand new Yamahas, something like that. If you're playing an older trumpet, so something that's produced 20, 30 years ago, you want to use lubricants number 2 or 3. It's thicker oil. So if you find yourself that your valves are evaporating quite a lot, it's because the oil that you're using is too light and it seems to evaporate. And the tolerances have been worked through the instrument. So you're going to need valve oil, a trumpet. You're going to need a microfiber cloth, okay, to wipe down the valves, which we'll talk about in a second. And you want to make sure that it's clean, right? And it's not covered in lint, okay? That's something that you want to do. To put this into the case, I always carry it around with the oil in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't leak inside of my case. And I also carry this around too so it doesn't get any lint or any debris that will make its way into the valve block. I also have one of these too. I'll put the link below. This is a spit catcher by Brass Tech. And what this is something that has a plastic back on it so that when there's oil that does drip off, if you do it one of these 3 ways, you don't want it going onto your carpet or onto the floor. So what we do is we put that onto the ground to make sure that nothing's going to stain the carpet. We're going to make sure that we've got all of these products. So step 1, this is the easiest way to oil your valves. So you're in a rehearsal and you're like, oh, I need to oil my valves. So this is stage 1, right? What you do is undo all of the pistons at the top, right? We're going to give you a rundown of how to do this. So you undo them, you go left, lefty-loosey. Now you pull up to halfway so that you can see the valve block. You can see the valve pieces here. You're not pulling them completely out. Now what you do there is you put 2 to 3 drops of oil onto each one of the valves. So you go like this. You go over here on an angle so that the oil hits it and runs into the valve block. So you put 1, 2, 3. You do that on all. Okay? Once that's in there, we put the valve back in. Okay, we're not putting the oil into the lead pipe, okay, because when you do that, you actually blow it through into the valve ports and it just comes out of the spit valve, okay? It's not effective because the oil has to travel through here into each valve that you use. Once you push that button down in the 3rd, it goes into the 3rd spit valve and it's going to pool at the end. So we don't want to do that. So another reason why we don't take it fully the way out is when you place it back in, it can create micro burrs and scratches at the bottom of the piston, which is something that we don't want to do. We want to limit that, okay? So this is the day-to-day use that we do. So once you do that, you put the valve in. Now, if we screw it back up, the valve's not going to be in the right position. The air doesn't go through the trumpet. So what you want to do is inside there are these plastic valve guides. How to line them up is like this. Once they're in there, you're going to rotate it in a right direction, the top. You're going to do this. Boom. Hear the click. Do it again. Should hear it click. They slide in, which means that the valve is facing the correct direction. You might notice that there's a number on your valve. Depending on which trumpet make you have, the numbers should point towards you at the mouthpiece. If they don't and there's not air going through your trumpet, this is because they're in the wrong direction. Now from there, what we want to do is keep it in an upright position, okay? And what we want to do is put the top valve caps back on without cross-threading it, right? Because cross-threading is something that's serious. So what happens is the thread doesn't catch, you force it, it strips the thread, and something like that can cost a lot of money to fix. So what we want to do is the way that they do it in every single factory around the world. You push the valve down. You grab that valve cap and you move it backwards, lefty-loosey, right? Then you'll hear and feel a click, right? Just like that. Hear it? Then what you do is turn it to the right. Once that's on, you lift the valve up and you screw it down. So you're essentially lining the thread up. What this may look like is once you hear the click, so I'll show you the whole process again. You'll see a click. You'll feel a click. I'll do it again. Cool. Now we push that down, lefty-loosey. Then it's lined up and you go to the right. Then you lift it up. Once you do that, you can do it all by feel. Boom. Much faster, more effective way so that you don't cross-thread the valves. Now, the second way, okay, is about once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on how you do it. I like to do this after I clean the trumpet. The second way of doing this is to not get oil into the bottom valve caps, right, and flooding the instrument, okay? What we want to do is have the valve oil with that cloth that I placed on the ground. You can see that there's kind of a bit of black on there, black tinge. What that is the wearing out of the valve casing mixed with the oil and the saliva together. So to get that fluid off, simply hold it above the cloth that you're using and put 4 or 5 drops all over it. You'll notice it'll come down, it'll drip here. You want to shake that off onto the cloth, okay? And then you want to place this back into the trumpet, trying to get it in as straight as possible so that you don't get those micro abrasions at the bottom of the valve. So you want to make sure that you stand it upright or at an angle and you just wiggle it left to right until it falls into place, okay? So you're trying to avoid that wearing of the bottom of the valve casing, because when that happens, it lets the air go in, wears out the valve casing, and the oil dries out. So once that's step 2. That's the second way to clean it if you're having gunk on the fly and you're in a song or you're in a performance and this continually happens to you. If you notice that your valve is moving slowly up or down, it might be something that you've blown into the trumpet has gotten stuck into one of the valves. So what you want to do with the micro cloth that you have, microfiber cloth, you want to pull that valve out, wipe it down, right, with a microfiber cloth, and you want to make sure that you get all over it to absorb all of the old oil. Now, when I do this, I see like a black tinge. This is something that happens with newer trumpets like mine where you're wearing the valve block in. Okay, the tolerances are quite high, and that's why we use proper fingers onto the valves so that the piston goes up and down and not to the left, because it unevenly wears out the valve block. So what you want to do, especially if you have a new trumpet, you want to wipe it down like this so it's bone dry. Make sure that all of that excess metal material is removed. Then what you want to do, place it in on an angle like we did, halfway in, 3 drops, 1, 2, 3, slide it in, hear the lock, do all the stages that we looked at before. Then you continue that across all of the valves. So I'll do it again. Put it onto the cloth, wipe it down, right? You can do all 3 of them at once. Again, microfiber cloth, you're not polishing the valve. You don't want to use silver polish, right? Because what that's going to do is it's going to lap the valves and then your tolerances go down. So you have to oil your valves more. Air leaks out and the compression of the instrument drops. That's why you'd never, ever, ever lap your valves or put them in from the upside down and work them in to try and work the burr out. You want to do it like this. If the problem's still affected, take it to someone that knows what they're doing, okay? So what you want to do is wipe it down like this. Again, see the black that's appearing on the cloth. That wasn't there a second ago. So that is the wearing in of the valves. This trumpet is not too old. So this is why I'm doing this, is to keep it from unevenly wearing, because if you get a buildup of all of the metal within the valve casing, what's going to happen is it's going to unevenly wear and it's going to wear out the valve. So apply the drops again, slide it in, rotate it around so you're getting the oil around, feel the clicks. Put the stem down like I showed you before. I'll show you on the middle one more time. Click, push down, 2 fingers, rotate, lift up. Then it's in there. Now you can listen to the compression. That's what you want. You want to have a high compression instrument so when you're playing, the air isn't leaking out of any parts, okay? You can also notice that if your third valve isn't doing that, it might not be the valve that's the problem. Your cork might need replacing. We'll talk about that in another lesson. Or your slide doesn't have sufficient lubricant, which we'll talk about too. So what you want to do from there is make sure that you close the cloth like this so the contaminated part is closed. It's not going to get into the bag. And then you can use the other side later on, or you continually use that side. And you want to make sure that you also get the cloth that's off of the ground, okay? You can use a towel or something. They used to work for me. When I use that process, I really don't want to be having oil put on the bandstand for someone to slip over on, or I don't want to stain my carpet or anything. So I hope that tip was helpful to you. What we're going to do is I'm going to do another lesson on how to do rotary valves, and that's a different system together. And this is derived from a French horn way of doing it, where you do put the oil down the lead pipe, but that is only for certain instruments such as rotary valves that you half do that, because you can't take the piston out very easily. So that'll be on the next lesson, but let me know in the comments, was this helpful? What sort of materials would you like? I'll put a link in the description to buy the Hetman valve oil, the spit catcher, and a microfiber cloth. You can also do that. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because there's a lot more trumpet related content that's coming up. So I hope that was beneficial to you, and I'll see you on the next lesson. Take care.